Be sure to check out my second channel called Rob Explains. There you can check out videos where I explain things outside of comic books. What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and welcome back to Top 5 Tuesday, a weekly series where we count down the top 5 characters, teams, and concepts from across the comic book industry. And this week, we're counting down the top 5 alternate realities in DC Comics. Number 5. Journey's End. Written by Marv Wolfman in 1994 and centered on the character of Deathstroke the Terminator, in this reality, Deathstroke finds his limited healing ability keeps him alive well into the 25th century. With modern society having crumbled under the ruthless control of a race called the Genetics, but in effect mutants, Deathstroke does what he can to attempt to eliminate this race and restore what's left of human society. Taking on a feeling very similar to Richard Matheson's 1964 novel I Am Legend, the origin of the Genetics is found to be due to the very experiment that gave Deathstroke his abilities. With the US government looking to create the physically perfect soldier that was also controllable, Slade Wilson was subjected to the experimental program. Due to initial bouts of insanity followed by enhanced strength, speed, and endurance, but lacking the ability to be controlled, the government considered him to be a failure. Continuing with their plan, the Genetics were created. And so with humanity finding itself in a weakened state following several global wars, the Genetics took the opportunity to rise to power and seize control of the planet Earth. Number 4. FLASHPOINT. As the catalyst for DC to reboot their continuity and launch the New 52, FLASHPOINT presents us with a dystopian society where the characters of the DC universe are reimagined in a much darker way. What makes this universe so spectacular and interesting among fans is that where many of the Elseworlds stories center on one individual, with appearances by other characters to broaden the story, this reality seemingly focuses on and dismantles the Justice League in its entirety, establishes villains as heroes, and turns the concept of the DC Universe as we know it completely on its head. As one example, one of my favorite aspects of this story was that Bruce Wayne was shot instead of his parents. As a result, Thomas Wayne became a very ruthless version of Batman, and Martha Wayne became the Joker. Furthermore, rather than being given a version of Superman that is physically larger than life, in the Flashpoint universe, Superman was captured immediately following his arrival on Earth, and so without the sunlight, he's essentially an emaciated and shrunken version of himself. Continuing this trend by providing an ongoing war between the Amazons and Aquaman's empire, DC casts all existing concepts aside, bringing former friends together as enemies in a battle that would effectively end the world as we know it. Number 3. Superman Red Sun. Written by Mark Millar in 2003, Superman Red Sun is considered one of the best alternate realities in existence. Centered on Superman raised by Russians as opposed to Americans, Mark Millar wastes no time providing a vastly different narrative than what we're used to. Tying the arrival of Superman to coincide with the Cold War, the Man of Steel is used as much by the Russians for pro-Soviet propaganda as he is by the Americans for anti-communist sentiments. While Superman argues that he is a champion of the people, much like Michael Corleone in Mario Puzo's 1969 novel The Godfather, Superman plunges from his existence as a hero trying to do the right thing to becoming a dictator controlling the minds of his citizens in an effort to create a peaceful society. What makes this such a cool concept is that Mark Millar asked the question, is Superman's stance on righteousness a correct stance because we genuinely agree with it, or because it happens to be the same position that we have? What I mean by this is that Superman's belief of a peaceful world is still a part of his character, but rather than changing the hearts and minds of the people on Earth, he forces change on its inhabitants by way of mind control devices. But regardless of any philosophical debates that may exist for this story, the Superman Red Sun is and always will be considered a classic among the Elseworld imprints and DC comic book fans. Number 2. The Killing Joke. While not currently an alternate reality, when it was initially introduced by Alan Moore in 1988, it was actually presented that way. Focusing entirely on the Joker's belief that all it takes is one bad day to make someone insane, the Killing Joke is well known for several things. The first is the origin of the Joker. While Alan Moore provides a full backstory regarding who the Joker was and how he became the iconic villain, in the same vein, Alan Moore states by way of the Joker admitting that he doesn't fully recall his past, that this origin is not meant to be taken as an absolute. In addition to this, the Killing Joke is also known for the shooting and possible sexual assault on Barbara Gordon and Joker's effort to simply drive Commissioner Gordon insane and prove his point. Finally, and probably the most debated aspect of the story, is the ending. Without providing any true conclusion, the ending of the Killing Joke has been argued by comic book fans for years. While some say that Batman went insane at the end, others say Batman actually killed the Joker. Regardless of what ending people choose, however, the Killing Joke had long-lasting effects on the Bat family and the DC universe. Following its removal from an alternate reality and its interjection into the mainstream continuity, one of the most notable things the Killing Joke did was provide a newfound purpose for Barbara Gordon, ushered her into the spotlight, and even led many fans to believe that the Joker's origin story as presented here is the one true origin. Number 1. Kingdom Come. There's a reason why this is one of the most celebrated stories in alternate realities in existence. Written by Mark Waid in 1994 and centered on a combination of favorites from the Golden Age and Silver Age of DC Comics, Kingdom Come provides us with a view of DC's most iconic superheroes in a vein similar to the Watchmen. In this reality, the Joker murdered 93 people in the Daily Planet, including Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. After being apprehended by authorities before Superman could locate him, the Joker was executed prior to his trial by Magog, one of a new series of self-proclaimed superheroes. When Magog was acquitted of his actions, Superman, feeling as though society had lost its understanding of justice, decided to leave the life of crime fighting behind and retire to a peaceful life. Following his lead, some of the most prominent heroes of the time, including Nightwing and Green Lantern Alan Scott, either retired or went into seclusion. But furthermore, with villains swiftly apprehended using the new superhero style of a win-at-all-costs attitude, their desire for conflict drives them to turn on each other, plunging the United States and the world into a state of total chaos. With an incident occurring in Kansas resulting in the death of millions of people, and after being coaxed back into action by Wonder Woman, Superman leads a crusade against the new generation of heroes in a battle that costs the life of Shazam and almost brings the world to the brink of total destruction. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.